It's just lovely to be with you, and today we're looking at the reality and the unusual, perhaps, thing of temptation. We all experience temptation, and yet in many ways we don't talk about it from the point of view that it's part of our humanity. It's a really strange thing in a way. It's the mystery of humanity. And one of the things that strikes me about the gospel today is that Jesus was tempted. And I don't know about you, but I don't associate temptation with Jesus. I think he's perfect, he's the Son of God, he's God and man, so how could he be tempted? Well, he's human, that's why he was tempted. And you and I share that with Jesus, that we're human, and so we're going to be tempted as well. And sometimes, again, I don't know about you, but I can associate temptation with kind of sinfulness. You know, if you're tempted, maybe you're not perfect, maybe you're not holy, maybe you're not good, maybe you're not prayerful enough. But temptation is really just part of being human. It's a beautiful thing. It's what we do with it, what we do with being tempted, that's the real issue. And you know, it's even with diet, isn't it? We all say, yes, definitely not going to do this anymore, I'm going to diet. And then Nana comes around with the best sponge in the world, and we think, oh, I'll start the diet tomorrow. It's a temptation to be overeating, and we know that it's not right. Our conscience says, don't eat it. And yet we say, oh, well, just this time I will eat it. So there's this tension in our life about what's right, and what we know is right, and yet being tempted to do the wrong thing or the less good thing. And some of the theologians would say, well, that's what original sin's about. It creates in us a kind of a darkness of the intellect, an inability to understand clearly life and God's love and where we're going, a weakness of the will. We all experience that with the diet thing, or going, you know, we're going to have a fitness program, going to run every morning. First morning we get up and it's freezing cold and raining, we say, oh, I'll stay in bed, I'll start running tomorrow. So we know all about that. And it also says that it gives us a sort of an inclination to do the less good thing. Like if we see $20 on the ground, my first thing I look around is I might slip that in my pocket. And we know that it's not mine, it belongs to somebody else. After a while, hopefully we say, oh, no, I better take it out and take it to the police, it belongs to someone else. But the initial thing is, well, it's $20 I didn't have, now I've got it. So that temptation to do the less good thing. But today the gospel reminds us that Jesus gives us that way through temptation, acknowledging that it's a temptation. When did it hit him that he was 40 days in the desert and he's as hungry as can be, and the devil says, guess what? Turn these stones into bread, you know, nice, warm. You could almost smell the bread because he's so hungry. Temptation comes at the most vulnerable time of our lives and in the most vulnerable part of our will. So temptation's very clever, but we see Jesus with the strength of the Holy Spirit being able to turn that temptation into something very, very beautiful. And for all of us, we will be tempted, thank God, because we're human. But we have the strength through confirmation and all those other sacraments, the Eucharist, our prayer, our example of other people around us, to rise above those temptations, and it really becomes a means of holiness. Yes, we're tempted. We're tempted to be miserable to people, and yet with the grace of God we can actually be really quite pleasant to them, and we get life out of that. So today, as we consider this gospel, and it's a beautiful gospel in many ways, it highlights the beautiful humanity of Jesus, it highlights that temptation is part of our humanity, and it gives us a beautiful way through that into a new place where we sense our own goodness and the presence of God and the strength of the Holy Spirit. God bless you. I think I take away that the reality of temptation is human. To be tempted is not bad, but it also gives me the strength to look at my own life and see what are the temptations in my life, to see people intruding in my life, and to say that It's not an intrusion, it's an opportunity to meet those people and to listen to them. So I'll have, I've got a lot to think about out of the gospel today to take with me to sort of transform some of the ways I'd look at life and look at people.